Hi, eighth graders. We're going to now look at reflecting a shape on a coordinate, I said reflecting and I meant rotating right away. All right, we're going to look at rotating a shape on a coordinate plane. In this case, we're going to rotate this shape here 90 degrees counterclockwise. So first off, when I do this, I always like to, draw an arrow in the direction that I'm going to be rotating. Draw an arrow toward the rotation. So I am rotating counterclockwise, so my arrow is going to be drawn that way. And it's a possibility my shape will end up going over my words and stuff like that, and that's okay. That could happen. I actually am pretty positive it will. Either way, it's important that I draw an arrow in the direction that I'm rotating. I also need to think, if I am going 90 degrees, where is my shape primarily going to be located? Now, my shape's not always going to just be in the first quadrant. Sometimes it's going to go over a couple of quadrants, but in all reality, I can make a pretty good guess of this shape, if it's going to be rotated 90 degrees, is going to be primarily located in this situation in quadrant 2. So after I've done this, I want to sort of predict where the shape will be located. Okay, so in this case, this shape going 90 degrees is going to be over here. If it was going to be 180 degrees, it's going to be moving not from here, but all the way to here. If it's going 270 degrees, it's going not just here, but over here. Okay, if it's going 360 degrees, it's going right back onto itself. Okay, so now last but not least, we're going to start actually rotating each and every one of these points. So this is probably the hardest part, and rotations are difficult in sort of understanding what we need to do each time. I like to look at them in terms of their x and y and where they are based on their center of rotation. We're going to rotate it about the origin, okay? So we're going to rotate it around this point. So based on this point, I am going over 1 unit and up 1, 2, 3, 4 units. Okay, so I'm going to the right 1 unit and up to the left, or up 4 units. So if I'm going to rotate this point, it needs to be that same sort of distance away from this origin point. So if I'm going to rotate it, this side here is going to end up going up over here, and this long increase here on towards the y is going to end up being a long increase towards the x. And now I can label this point A prime. Now let's understand what that looks like for point E, for example, because it's pretty close to here. This time I'm going to go over 2 units to the right and up 1 unit to the left. That means I'm going to go up for my new point 2 units and then over 1 unit to find my E prime point. I'm going to do the same thing with every single one of these and sort of just get a feel for where these are at. If I look at A and E, I can also look at these points. I can look at each of these points, B prime, based on its center of origin. But now, once I have 2 points written down or drawn, I can now look at where the A and the B are sort of located and compare that to where they're supposed to be located over here. So from A, I can go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units to the right to get my B point. If A prime is here, I'm going to go up 6 units from that point A prime to find my B prime point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. I told you I was going to go over some of the writing to find my B prime point. From B to C prime, or from B to C, we're going down 1 unit and to the left 1 unit. So that means I'm going to go down 1 unit and to the right 1 unit to get my C prime point, because again, I want it to be sort of within this shape. It's my sort of concave aspect of this. And D, I can now look at it in comparison to this E point and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units to the right. That means I'm going to go 5 units up from E prime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units up to find my D prime point. And so now I can connect the dots. And then I can also look at each of these. Of course, I didn't turn my volume off on my keyboard. And so now I can connect the dots and I can see that now this shape is rotated 90 degrees. I can also look at all of these other points in the same sort of way that I looked at the A and E versus A prime and E prime. So D, for example, it went over from the center of rotation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units plus 7 units and up 1 unit. That if I were to look at that same sort of pattern, this time I'm going up 7 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units, and over to the left 1 unit to find this new point. I'm just going to be looking at that. Now, if I was rotating in the clockwise direction, I'd be doing the same thing, but I would be looking at it in terms of rotating it into this area over here. So this A point is going to end up being like right here. This E point is going to end up being over here and so on, or over here and so on. And so you can see how these are going to rotate in those ways by looking at sort of the rise over the run or the run over the rise of each of these points in comparison to the center of origin. So last but not least, we always want to label up our new shape, label, and connect the dots. We're going to label our new shape with, connect the dots with those primes. Okay, so we can finally see our new shape come to fruition with its labels, and we'll be able to describe it. So thank you for watching this little video on reflecting on a coordinate plane. There is one more video that is going to be about the big takeaways for reflection. So we're going to look at how those coordinate pairs change. And after that, you are good to go for this lesson. Thanks for watching. Bye.